from the station that's working for you. You're watching Fox 4 News at 9 a.m.
On arrival, they approached the residence. They were immediately met with gunfire from inside the residence. There was an exchange of gunfire with police officers, where officers were forced to take immediate cover and request extra officers to come to the scene to help them out.
Nothing is going to change until we start to make a change. We need to get to the point where we say enough is enough, because if we don't, enough will never be enough. And the carnage would just continue.
What is Kansas City going to do about the escalating gun violence? Take a look at this map. You're looking at 8 different crime scenes, and the numbers do not stop there. 14 shot, 3 killed, all in a matter of 48 hours. Thanks for being here on Fox 4 News at 9. Good morning. I am Nick Vassos.
And I'm Kim Burns. All morning we have been covering the gun violence here in Kansas City, but now city leaders are addressing it. We are live outside the Kansas City Police Department headquarters where a news conference is underway. Let's get to them now.
Dark tank top, last seen running from the area of 22nd and Walrand. We need the public's help to solve this and other crimes. This gun violence cannot be solved by police alone. We want to work with the community to solve this gun violence. We have numerous trained investigators and officers, many of which are standing behind me here, that are working tirelessly on all of these cases to bring justice. When there's about to be violence, many times people know about it. We want people to work with us ahead of time when there's going to be violence. We need the community to work with us to help prevent this violence. This violent time will come to an end, and it will be because of police and community support. We want everyone to know we've recently paid out a second $10,000 reward for TIPS Hotline. More than money, though, we want the community to work with us. We want every neighborhood to feel like a safe place. We do not want anyone to live in fear of violence on a daily basis.
Good morning. You know, there's 3 points that I think coming together today is that we understand that we've had a very unfortunate, eventful couple of days regarding violence in the city. The other thing that I think come together is this police department is working very hard to make sure those people that choose to engage in that violence are being brought to justice, and I think we've done an outstanding job in that part. And the third part is we can't get done what needs to be done without community support. Listen, we all live in this city together. We have got to decide that we want to put this violence to an end, work together to bring it to a conclusion so that this city deserves the reputation of being a great city to live in, to raise your family in, and to be a part of. And I want this community, this city to know that this police department is working every day to try and meet that goal. All right, anybody got any questions?
Chief, what's the last week been like for your officers, the mental toll of dealing with so many shootings?
Well, you know, that's a great question, John. We had, so when the homicides start stacking up, as you can see the investigators behind, they are so far behind, we have to bring in new people behind. That puts us behind in a rotation. I mean, everyone is working late, staying here long hours, getting home for a couple hours of sleep and coming right back. And, you know, it gets to the point that we don't even have crime scene techs to make the scene to record and recover the property that's associated with all this violence. We're calling people in from home. I mean, we're struggling to keep the manpower we need to keep up with the demand.
What about the 4 officers last night who were pinned down by gunfire for some time?
Yeah, and again, you know, as we've known with the results here just weeks ago with our other 3 officers, here we had another incident. Thank God, good training and officers being on their toes and aware prevented anyone from getting hurt. But again, you can see the escalating of violence. When we have violence like this against the police, we know we're headed in the wrong direction. This city needs to take a hard look, and the people in this city need to take a hard look at this is where we want to be.
I've heard some discussion, or has there been any talk about bringing federal resources to assist you from a law enforcement perspective in addressing shootings?
we are constantly in discussion with our federal partners. I met with the head of the FBI office last week. We talked about some of our initiatives we're working on together, what we could do to strengthen those roles. So we are constantly evaluating stuff. Our Project Safe Neighborhood is going to get started here with the U.S. Attorney's Office. We're constantly evaluating, looking what we can do to bring some calm to this city.
Chief, are you bringing detectives from other places besides homicide to work these cases?
Not yet. We're not at that point. We're really struggling with their crime scene techs in our lab. I mean, all of these cases have numerous recovered property, exams that have to be done, DNA that has to be run, forensics that has to be done. Those people are getting very taxed.
The lab seems to be overworked anyway, so is this compounding that, just making it harder to move stuff through the process?
Hey, when we have a short, cycle of violence like this where we put a ton of work on people, and of course the detectives behind want charges right away when we know who people are. That puts even more burden on the lab to get things done quicker so we can get that probable cause. We need to make those charges and get those warrants. So yes, it's taxing on like I said, there's not a lot of people going home early in the police department. Anybody else?
You have the last 8 homicides, you got 5 arrests, 2 I had persons of interest, 1 suspect description. Of those 8, how many of those were solved with cooperation from the public? I mean,
we have, I won't go in particulars, but I'll tell about overall. We did an area canvass on one of the homicides, which we go back to a scene hours later and start asking people questions. That area canvass turned to specific information about who may be a witness. That witness was then contacted, who gave us suspect information. So those things are very important. Without the community's interaction, we wouldn't be able to get it done. So, Charlie, nothing happens here with this when we go and catch a case and move on without some sort of interaction with the public and the community. It just doesn't happen with just us. This is a partnership.
And then what needs to happen beyond just the police department orders, maybe to reduce violence overall in the city? Is there other conversations to be had?
Yes, there is. And those are constantly being had. I think we listen to our mayor, about his priorities and pre-K education and all sorts of things that come up. So I agree with you. There's all kinds of issues. I think our hope here is we want to get the message out to our city, hey, we don't like this violence any more than anybody else. We want it to slow down.
Chief, just one more question. So you've made a plea for the community to help you. The fear is that there's going to be retaliation.
Sure.
Can you assure them of their safety when they come forward?
Well, I don't know assurance is the right word. I can tell you that by knowing coming forward, we're never going to get any better. It is hard to come forward. It's hard to give that information. We all understand that. Police work more than anybody. We also know if we don't get that, we don't move anywhere. We don't move the needle. We're not going to stop this. So yes, I understand that being a citizen in Kansas City, sometimes it's hard to come up with civic duty or honor, responsibility, whatever you want to call it. But we're asking for that today.
You look mad today. I mean, is this something that really gets you worked
Yeah, I'm telling you, people get tired of this. I mean, we had an 11-year-old kid shot. We had a 1-year-old baby in a car where there's gunfire. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. And I think people should know that these types of things are happening in our city.
What steps are you taking to further encourage community members to come forward?
Well, I think the tips reward increasing for $10,000 is, I think the city of Kansas City helped put that up. I think people are saying this is important to us. I think some people are stepping up and saying, hey, we want this to stop, and we will do whatever tools we can get in that toolbox to help assure that happens, we're going to do it. So I think a lot of people are really taking notice. Anything else? Thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, there's the Kansas City, Missouri Police Chief, Rick Smith here. And boy, you could tell in his voice and in the way that he was talking with reporters there, the feeling that so many around Kansas City have about this recent rash of violence that we have seen.
This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly, was exactly one of his quotes. And you could hear him from Chief Smith as well as the previous officer that was out there, the plea to all of us out here in the community to step forward and to help in some way. And one way that you can do that is through the Crime Stoppers Tips Hotline, where you can remain anonymous here. And I believe that we have Kevin Boehm, who is a Kansas City, Missouri police detective, and he is also one of the leaders here of the Kansas City Crime Stoppers. He's joining us now on the phone right now. Kevin, welcome in. It's great to have you here. Let's ask you a couple of questions here. First off, can you tell us what percentage of these violent crimes go unsolved because you don't have anybody who's coming forward?
Well, good morning, Kim and Nick. I appreciate you having me on this morning. To put a percentage on it, that's really difficult because there are so many. And what the public hopefully understands is that the Crime Stoppers Tips Hotline here locally is a regional program. It's not specific to Kansas City, Missouri. We take anonymous information for all programs, all law enforcement agencies in the region, federal, state, and local. And again, I just want to emphasize that all of our information is anonymous. But, you know, FOX4 has helped us through their new crime file segment, and I can tell you we've had 16 weeks worth of new cases that are all unsolved, and they range from 2005 all the way to present. So there's a significant number of cases out there that are unsolved, and the detectives do the best job that they possibly can to solve these cases, but without the input of the public, a lot of times these cases go cold.
Kevin, we just heard the police chief say, you know, this gun violence cannot be solved by police alone. What is your plea to the public, and how important are these tips for you all to get them in there and get this information that you need?
Well, he's absolutely right. And what you have to understand is Chief Smith was formerly a homicide detective himself, so he knows intimately how these cases work. Again, just reemphasizing to the public, hopefully they understand that Crime Stoppers is a nationwide organization, and it's always been a partnership between law enforcement, the community, and the media. So those are just three of the resources that have to come together to help solve this problem. You know, the anonymous information that's provided to us goes directly to the police investigators handling that specific case. So if there's any information, either prior knowledge of a violent event that may happen, or after the fact, if they have suspect information or location, submit that information to us, and we act as the middleman between the tipster and law enforcement, so the identity of the tipster is not disclosed, but yet the law enforcement agency still receives the information.
Kevin Boehm with the Kansas City Crime Stoppers. Kevin, great to talk with you. We, of course, will continue to pass along the number and encourage the community to respond with any tips or information that they may have so that we can solve more crimes. Kevin, thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Well, each week, FOX4 Crime Files takes an in-depth look at some of these cases. You can catch the latest episode on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher, and also on our website, fox4kc.com/crimefiles.